Today on the Nerdy Gritty, lessons we learned in 2019.
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. World that makes a man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am your best friend, and I am the game of the year, Fox.
I am your ex-best friend after you chose Fox, but I still love you, and I'm Dez.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So, as promised last week, not last week, the last time we had an episode, we took a little bit of a break there for the holidays. But last time we talked about how we will have stats on our Game Award picks. Before I get into this, shout out to Chris, our good friend Chris, who was there at PAX this year. If you watch our PAX recaps each day, he's in those videos and played some of the games and stuff. So big shout out to him because he went all out on this. And he's my favorite person because
thanks, Chris, we love you.
You're the best. We have things basically what he sent me was a chart of some stats, but also a narrative.
Okay.
Regarding. Here we go. Here we go. Just here. I'm gonna let's see. 2019 saw the bounce back of Dez.
Yeah.
He was named Comeback Player of the Year by the Game Award writers across America, the GAWAA. After putting up a measly .091 average in 2018, Dez went back to the basics and took a look at his game selecting mechanics. In 2018, you saw a lot of hesitation in Dez's picks, often identifying the correct winning game, but failing to actually pick that game. Dez's improved method of picking in 2019 gave us into the ceiling scout saw. Is that a thing? I don't know if that's a typo or not. Anyway, basically you're a true 5 category picker.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that they're baseball related things
These are all
here.
baseball
Okay.
references.
Yeah, that
Other
I'm
than
not
Into the
getting.
Ceiling.
But that sounds like
probably
a good
a typo.
Okay. Not only able to choose AAA titles like Sekiro, but able to field some of the more difficult categories like Best Community Support. Dez even took a step forward in picking esports categories. If he can continue growth in the news StatCast esports revolution, he can truly blossom into a 5. Wait, this says 5 tool picker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that an insult or
no?
Okay.
No,
what a 5 tool picker.
There are 5 major tools in baseball.
Yeah. Mark McGuire. Barry Bonds. Oh yeah, that's he's the home run guy who was a tool. Okay. Fox, on the other hand, coming off a blazing hot 2018, cooled a bit back into reality, posting a 275 pick average.
Ooh.
Just slightly worse than Dez. However, both Dez and Fox put up a 793 overall pick selection, and while Fox had the lesser pick average, his weighted selection, which considers the difficulty of certain picks, helped bring up
he actually weighted our picks?
Holy
crap,
helped bring
Chris.
up his overall pick average.
Chris, get a job.
Yeah, you clearly doing nothing. Here's the best part. We have career stats now. Because we're 2 years in.
This is ridiculous.
So average, your career average is 292.
Dang, I must have been really well this year.
Mine's 342. So mostly, so at the end of the day, you got one more right than I did this year.
Right.
But when it's weighted with last year's, you went up high.
Man.
I went down a little bit, but just with that, but we're pretty close. OPS, what did I say that was before? OPS.
We don't know. It's on.
It's overall pick selection.
There you go.
That's what it is. A 793 overall pick selection.
He actually took baseball stats and gave our gaming stats to plug in with them.
Okay, so here are some that we're getting into this is more of a nerdy griffy right now because we're talking about baseball.
The nerdy griffy.
But MLB comparisons in 2018, you were Chris Davis, whoever that is.
He's a bad.
He was a bad. This year, though, you are Raphael. You are 2019 Raphael Devers.
Ooh.
Okay, sure. Last year, I was 1912 Ty Cobb.
Wow.
Yeah, I know who Ty Cobb is, so that's a pretty big deal. And this year, I was 2019's JT Real Muto. Real Muto. He's the real Muto. Yeah. So I have a picture to send you. We're gonna put this up, probably on our Patreon and also
and on Twitter.
yeah. So big thanks to Chris
Thank you very
for
much.
doing some stats for us.
This will be up on our Twitter.
Yeah, follow Twitter. We'll put it on our Patreon. We'll put it on Facebook.
Right.
Just all those places. I'll probably put it on screen when this episode goes up on YouTube, just for that part.
So if you're listening on anything other than YouTube, you can go to one of our social media.
Right.
Check it out. Okay.
Anyway,
Fox, what have you been up to?
a few things. A small little indie movie came out this week. That you might not have heard of. It's like this sci-fi. It's sci-fi and this new sci-fi
Science
franchise.
fantasy.
Yeah, sci-fi. Yeah, I saw Rise of the Skywalker or Rise of Skywalker or whatever. It was fine.
That's what I hear. I watched a Netflix original movie called
Yeah.
Six Underground.
Oh, the Ryan Reynolds one.
The Ryan Reynolds movie.
Yeah.
Is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could distill Michael Bay, it is this
I think it
movie.
is a Michael Bay
Yeah,
movie,
that's what
right?
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Michael Bay directed, produced it.
He
and
does
it
one
is-
thing really well.
I mean, it is Michael Bay. See, and I would even say it was done really well. The
Oh, okay.
the special effects in it were like the more than anything. It's a weird thing to be nitpicky about, but the pyrotechnics, nothing exploded, everything fireworked. Everything was
Just
like these
sparks.
and
That's very
bursts of
Michael
sparks.
Bay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. Which when there's robots, when it's transformers,
Yeah, when it's robots, you're like, okay, that's like acceptable.
but when it's like a car that hits a gas tank or something like that, and there's no fire, what? What? Like,
I mean,
don't
yeah, maybe
understand.
not. Just what you expect, at least.
Right. But Ryan Reynolds, I love, and he did a good job with what he was given here.
He's a funny man. He's a
Yeah,
funny.
he's a
Was he
funny
supposed
guy.
to be funny in it?
He was supposed to be clever Ryan Reynolds. in
Okay,
it.
he's clever action Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you ever don't let Ryan Reynolds be Ryan Reynolds to some extent, then your movie's gonna suck.
Yes.
I saw Queen and Slim, which starred what's his name? It was
Queen.
yes,
And
the
Slim.
band Queen and Slim Shady team up for the ultimate tour. No, it's starring.
I'd go to that. I would go to that
Yeah,
concert.
it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
And anybody would tour a Queen, so
Yes.
even today. Basically, it was I interpret it as a modern day folk tale, like a John Henry Irons or
Oh yeah.
that folk tale that it's about a couple who at the very beginning they're on a Tinder date, clearly not much of a spark between them, and then they're on their way home, like he's driving her home, and he gets pulled over by a cop, and the cop is not a good man and is very, very much commenting on current day cops killing black people for no reason without any cause. And in self-defense, like the cop gets startled and is also racist. So basically shoots the girl in the leg kind of on accident, but not really, because he shouldn't have been brandishing his weapon in the first place.
Right.
And in self-defense, the guy kills the cop.
Oh.
And essentially from that moment, they both are, we have to leave. We have to go on the run now.
Yes.
Like their life immediately changes to, we have to leave.
Oh wow.
And it's really, and that happens 7 to 10 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
And the rest of the movie is them on the run.
I, on a different note, built a new Magic deck.
Ooh.
It's the first time in literally years that I've done
Yeah.
that. And I'm not going to go into the intricate mechanics
Nope,
of the
every
deck.
card. I want to know every
okay,
card
here we
and
go.
how they work
So-
with the others.
No, but what I will say is I have forgotten just how much like there is an artistry to building Magic decks and collectible card games and things like
Especially Magic.
that. Yeah, especially
Been
Magic.
around for 20, 30 years.
Where like it's really nice, especially within Commander EDH. It's really nice to have this idea
Yeah.
and be able to put it together and see it come to light as the way that you did it. I'm not somebody to net deck,
Sure.
which is when you go online and you find a deck and you just copy it
Copy
exactly.
it or use
Right.
it heavily. Yeah.
Yeah. And I am not person to, I've never done that, nor will I ever do that. But to me, this was super fun. Again, all over again, to be able to take this concept I have and to be able to see it come into a whole reality one more time. I'm talking about it like it's my first time. I think it's my 38th deck that I've built, something like that. But it's the first time in forever. That's a fact. And it was a lot of fun. So
you built a commander deck around who?
His name is Daxos the Returned.
I love that guy.
Yeah, and essentially it's what's called a pillow fort deck.
The Witcher show came out yesterday.
Oh, I want to see it so bad. I caught up on The Mandalorian, but we're not talking about that yet.
No, not yet. We're 8 episodes. It's 8 episodes long. I'm 20 to 30. They're about an hour each. I'm about halfway through episode 4.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this: the 4th episode, the things that have been revealed, made it like exactly what I wanted as a Witcher fan to the max. But then King Thor also finished.
Ooh.
The 4-issue series, which caps off Jason Aaron's 7-year run on writing Thor for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And this is King Thor is a 4-issue series. Basically, it's the end of Thor's life, millions of years in the future, and it's the most epic space opera, like just ridiculously huge, where he's like destroying suns and like things like that to fight the all black necromancer, like just the most heavy metal awesome thing. And it's a very satisfying end conclusion.
Well, guys, that's about it for what we've been doing.
Oh, have you also been going through puberty this week?
Yes.
Congrats.
Let's get down to the nerdy gritty.
Let's do it. Hey everybody, before we get down to the nerdy gritty, I just want to point out that if you're hearing this, you are listening to the short version of the podcast of the Nerdy Gritty. If you are interested in hearing what we call the director's cut, you can head on over to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/dezandfox. And if you become a tier 2 or tier 3 patron, either $5 or $10 a month, then you would get access to the director's cut, which is a much longer version, usually about 20 minutes, 25 minutes of bonus content, as well as you'll gain access to all of the other content that we put on our Patreon. That means bonus videos, that means exclusive content, content you get before it comes out on YouTube, lots of games that we play. But if you can't do that, we really appreciate you for just listening, for liking, for sharing, for just being a fan. So thank you very much. Let's get down to the nerdy gritty.
So, 2019, this year of excitement, this year of crazy things.
It was an interesting year.
It was, is coming to a close. And like we have done last year, we are doing again this year, asking ourselves, what did we learn in 2019? And not just Fox and I, but we're talking kind of like as nerds in general.
Just kind of
the industry
and as a community.
Yeah.
I like doing this because there's 1.5 million best ofs out there.
Right.
And they all generally talk about the same games or the same movies and stuff. And, you know, we have our opinions. We kind of do that with the Game Award predictions. So
Right.
So we're just going to talk about like flashback to what happened and kind of where we can go from there. So I'm gonna let you start off.
Okay.
What's your first?
The first
lesson?
Big lesson that I think we learned in 2019 is you're not as good as you think you are.
Ooh.
And that is, hey Twitch, hey PUBG, hey Death Stranding, these iconic giants, these huge things are there, and they thought they were great. You know, PUBG came out in 2017, late 2017, but all of 2018 was about PUBG, and toward the end of 2018,
or PUBG
Fortnite,
or Fortnite,
toward the end of 2018, it was or Fortnite.
Yeah,
and then Fortnite just kept climbing, and now who plays PUBG anymore? You know what I mean? Twitch, this massive behemoth of a streaming organization, Mixer pops up, takes Ninja, takes other people, and now there is always the question: Twitch or Mixer?
Yeah, or even like there are some people who are signing contracts with YouTube exclusively.
Or Facebook like, gaming.
Yeah.
And then Death Stranding, everybody's been staring at Kojima like waiting for his perfect game to come out.
Yeah, now that he's free of all these things holding him back.
And it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah,
It's got some interesting stuff.
Yeah,
It's got
exactly.
some frustrating things.
And so I think a huge lesson that the industry in general can learn in 2019, I mean, and that's even if we just include a lot of the movies that everybody thought were going to be fantastic
Sure.
and came out fine, and comics, same thing. If we were to sit here and just say, you have to put the effort in. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you have. You got to put the effort in.
What you've done before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that on the other side of that is it's the danger of innovation, because you can make something completely new. Twitch did something that hasn't really been done before, just giving this really solid platform for streaming your content and giving you all these tools, and then the cracks start to show. And somebody else, and it's not a slight against Twitch, although they've made some poor decisions. I think it's not a slight against them. They did this cool new thing, but always remember that. Then somebody else is going to come along and try the same thing and possibly do it better. And that's not always the worst thing. It's kind of they're standing on the backs of giants when they're working on, making something quote unquote new to compete. It's just, so continue innovation. Like once you create the thing, you have to continue working on it.
Right.
Which I think
Absolutely.
Fortnite has done that really well.
And that's what made, I agree wholeheartedly. That's what made Fortnite better, is they continue to innovate.
Right. People don't like Fortnite for some people. I mean, but they have continued to do things. That whole, instead of just doing Fortnite 2.
People don't like Fortnite because of their demographic.
Sure.
That's really it.
I mean, and it's just video game opinions. Like people like one game or other, whatever. But what was really stood out to me was they didn't do Fortnite 2. They just said, game's turned off for a little while.
Yeah.
Now it's back and we're doing a whole new thing. Like, hey guys, stop playing for a little bit.
Yep.
And that's crazy to hear.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
So
and it made them more popular.
And it really, it really did.
A great job with it.
Yeah, they won best ongoing game for a reason.
Yeah. So that's my first lesson that I think the industry learned in 2019 is you're not as good as you think you are. You need to keep working.
Yeah. My first lesson is, a little more specific, but it does kind of have this bigger lesson of, hey, Watchmen is not untouchable. There have been two things that Watchmen, the television show,
which is apparently outstanding.
I don't have HBO.
Yeah.
I really wish I did because I would really love to watch it. Who watches The Watchmen? Not me. But also Doomsday Clock, which is getting fairly decent reviews also.
Yeah.
And they've taken the seminal, quote unquote, greatest comic series of all time, Watchmen, in two very different directions, but they're both direct sequels.
Mm-hmm.
Watchmen, the TV show, is still completely unrelated to comic book universe stuff. It's people in the show, it's those characters and new characters and all that. Doomsday Clock is a direct sequel, but it heavily involves the DC universe.
Right.
The Joker shows up. Superman is a main character in it, and conflict with him and Dr. Manhattan. And they've both taken it in very different directions, but both have, to some extent, succeeded. Mm-hmm. Neither of them are considered, you tried, but you shouldn't have because Watchmen's such a big deal.
Right.
Both of them are just interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Wow. Incredible. Yeah. And it's not to say that they're both great or better. It's just to say that Watchmen isn't untouchable. And I think that the greater lesson we can take from that is kind of to fly in the face of all these remakes and all these, you can do something good. Anything that's held as the pinnacle, I don't think should, because that can stifle creativity. Now, are there some movies that don't need to be remade? I was talking to my wife about this. Yeah, Schindler's List. Nah, don't make it again. It's such a specific story. You can tell that same kind of idea about more modern things or update it or tell a difference. But just, don't just try to remake that. Sure. But I do think that we can take a look at older pieces of fiction that affected the cultural zeitgeist in a huge way and kind of understand them in a new light.
Yeah.
To approach what we're talking about today. So I think Iron Man does that really well, where at the beginning, when Iron Man first came into the comic series scene, it was about him in Vietnam. He was captured by Vietnam. And so obviously that would have been weird if they did that now, kind of put it. So they what's the word? What's the word when you kind of retcon, when you retcon a series. Yeah. They retconned it, obviously, to the Middle East.
Retroactive continuity.
Right. And it not only, just made more sense, but it also gave us this chance to talk about war profiteering.
Yeah.
and what's good in the world. And, you know, even if he could be considered doing something good by providing our military, whatever, but he personally didn't feel okay with it. And he became the one to sacrifice himself and, you know, things like that. And so nothing's untouchable in my mind.
It's okay to take something that was very important in its time,
Right.
and just update it so it's still important in our time.
And in fact, that might be a good thing
yeah, it
to
might be
do.
a good
it might
thing.
actually be a positive. We should do that sometimes. So yeah, Watchmen not untouchable, and might kind of tell us, as long as you put the effort into it, again, like put the effort into it and don't just take advantage of something's popularity or
Right.
nostalgia, then you could make something great.
On that note, my next lesson is the Marvel movies are kind of more of a fluke than we think they are.
Really?
That's because here's what I'm thinking.
Oh, okay. All right.
Here's what I'm thinking.
Kind of see what you're saying.
The amount of universes that have been tried to be started and failed
And
in the
been
past 2
destroyed.
years and just flopped. You know how many universes still exist and are still as beloved as Marvel? Zero.
None of them.
Zero. Even Star Wars is one that people are like, yeah, no, it ended.
Yeah.
You know, it's lost its mystique. And as a huge Star Wars fan, you know, I still understand that. But Marvel ended on this pillar of incredible art.
Just massive
Yes.
success.
And people are trying to recreate this, but what they don't realize is that, and I had to stop and look back and think to myself, with the Incredible Hulk, with Iron Man, this wasn't their, I mean, this was kind of an idea that they had,
Yes.
but this was not what they thought was going to
They
happen.
they were not thinking, okay, this will all work for Thanos when he comes back.
Yeah, exactly.
Once we do the time skip, this will all work out. No, they were not thinking that.
They were thinking, what if we do an Avengers movie? And
Yeah,
that was
that.
it.
That really was it. Or my guess is, hey, let's have Tony or Nick Fury show up at the end and say something about the Avengers. How fun would that be?
Yeah. And
Wait a
that's
minute,
it.
people
We
like
could
that.
actually do that.
Let's have Tony Stark show up in the Hulk then. Wait, Captain America? Oh, he's the first Avenger. You know?
Yeah.
Like, and then the Avengers happened, and then they were like, all right, good job. Oh, wait a minute.
So
we got 19 more movies to make now.
to everybody who is trying to make the next Marvel, look, man, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Or maybe it will, but it's not going to be on purpose.
Yeah.
But Marvel is more of a fluke than we gave it credit for, a very good one. And I'm not going to try and take away from the very important work that was done.
Oh, no,
there.
yeah. It was a fluke compared to others.
Right. Obviously, the people who are behind it deserve so much credit, and
Yeah.
they did phenomenal work and whatever else. But a lot of that was not planned, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so popular. We can do more with this.
Right.
And you know what? And then some things didn't do great, and they did a really good job of like kind of, let's not talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 2 anymore. Let's just,
To me, that'd be Ant-Man.
yeah, and things like that. And so, but as far as building a universe, it's not something that you can just choose to do.
All right. Now, for funsies, let's name all the cinematic universes that tried and failed.
That tried and failed?
Yeah.
Okay, Ghostbusters.
Star Wars.
I wouldn't say they
It
failed
didn't
because they
fail.
finished.
It didn't have the same reach.
No, exactly.
Didn't accomplish.
When I say failed, I mean they tried to
Okay,
start
yeah.
and it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Ghostbusters,
DC.
DC, the Dark Universe.
The Dark Universe. That was the most pathetic thing. Did you ever see the trailer for the logo, essentially, where it was clips from the classic monster movies, but it had like Avengers style epic music?
No.
And it was and it was completely serious. It was a completely like, we're creating the Dark Universe. And it's
So
just like this
it's
most
like
pathetic thing in the world.
like weird rubber suit creature
Yes,
of the Black
yes,
Lagoon. And
it's
bum, bum,
the,
bum.
you know, the bride of Frankenstein stumbling around, or like the Invisible Man, and but it's got like this bwah, 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 like this huge like bombastic music, and it's just so stupid.
And so, yes, these are all universes that tried and failed.
Yep.
And Star Wars is an old man that is sitting down and taking a breath now and needs to
Give it a
regain his
couple
energy.
years.
Right. And that's it. Like, other than that, Marvel was kind of a fluke.
It was. They are continuing, and it's going to be an interesting.
But you know what? I'm eager for that.
Yeah.
If somebody tells me Star Wars episode 10,
All right,
is
episode
coming,
10, 2022.
I'm going to be, as a Star Wars fan, I'm going to be a little frustrated.
Yeah, it's like it'd be terrible. Yeah, I got that's a good lesson to learn.
All right, what do you got?
Here's a big one for me. Listening to feedback is a good idea.
Yes, I feel like this is a lesson we should learn every year.
Every year, this probably is something we brought up last year.
And people still don't.
But we've seen much more specific instances of when it has helped people. I'm going to go Sonic. That's the big one here. He was a terrible inhuman monster that everybody hated. And then they were like, oh, yeah, you're right. Let's take a couple months. And then they bring out actual Sonic and you're like, okay, cool. And they'll make more money for it.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely,
it's not only like just to satisfy like the nerds who say it's not exactly what I wanted. It's now those people will appreciate what you've done. What we have seen is from like Endgame specifically. Hey, nerds have money.
Yeah.
They'll give you that money if they like what you did. And if you know, whatever company made Sonic, like, they probably said, okay, we'll make a few bucks, probably not even make our money back, or we put a little more money into making something that they actually want, and now people will give them money, even if it's not great, which I don't expect it to be.
No, it looks bad.
It still looks bad, but at least they tried, and I think this is kind of the idea behind a lot of like early access games and stuff. I go back and forth on early access, but to give fans an opportunity to give you feedback on the thing you're creating is good.
Absolutely.
It has to be tempered, because without like a vision for what you have from the start being created, like this was a problem with DC movies where like a Suicide Squad specifically, where they had this idea and then Guardians of the Galaxy came out and they were like, oh wait, what if we made our movie like that now? Oh wait, what if we made our, and they kind of re-edited it a million times and it came out a mess. And so the other instance is EA this year. They have, I think, scaled back on their overt money grubbing, especially with Star Wars.
Absolutely.
With Jedi Fallen Order. Jedi Fallen Order is not amazing. It's a fine game, but it doesn't try to take advantage of the player.
Right.
And that makes it worthy of playing, as long as, you know, it's a good game.
Yeah.
Good enough
absolutely.
to want to play.
On the flip side, there were good games that were made not worth playing because of the loot box system.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a fine game that is perfectly fine to play because the loot box system is not there.
Right.
And there are a lot of instances of things like that where the fans hated it and you lost money for it. So yeah.
Or you get like, you get review bombed and all that stuff. So listen to feedback, listen to what people are saying about what you are doing, and try to balance that tension between creating something with integrity and also listening to what people are telling you.
All right. This was a big one for me, and we started to learn it in 2018, and I think we really learned it in 2019.
Okay.
Games can be art. We know this.
No. They're toys for kids.
Games can also be not games.
Yeah.
Kind Words is my
is
immediate
a big
thought of that, but also Grease is in the same realm where the game of it is moderate. It's moderately gamey. There are like the rise of the walking simulator has really come in these days, where the actual game play interaction of it is much dialed down to the message that is trying to be communicated.
The narrative is taking the forefront. Yeah.
And I think that's something that we began learning last year, and really it came to light this year. This idea that video games are an art medium that are so important that it doesn't even have to be playable per se.
To the same extent that we would expect games to be.
The game to be. So, and Kind Words is obviously my poster child for this, where is it a game? I don't think it is. The more that I thought about it, the more that I think it didn't win Best Indie Game is because, is it a game?
Yeah.
I don't think it is a game.
It's a randomized pen pal game, basically.
Right. And so,
quote unquote game.
Which, I mean, I still would have picked Concrete Genie before Grease, but still. But the idea of bringing these digital interactions to a place in which people can encourage each other, or even just using a digital medium to talk about important things, whether or not the actual game is gamey enough, isn't important anymore.
Yeah.
games are art. Yes, of course they are. But now we've learned games can also be not games.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting place to be.
Yeah, it is. It's really unique and really weird. And I foresee the next, 5 years from now, I foresee some of the digital art that's coming out being called digital art and not games anymore.
yeah.
Like I see a genre of it not being a game anymore, and people recognizing, hey, you know what? That's a play. That's a fun thing over there. This is an important thing that we're doing over here. It can be fun and it can be, but this is not a game.
Right.
So yeah.
My last lesson that I have on my list is
I also have one more.
diversify what you got. And this mainly comes from the Wolverine, The Long Dark podcast that came out.
The long
Long
the
Night.
Lost Trail.
Well,
Long
Lost
Night
Trail is
and
the
then Lost
sequel.
Trail.
Yeah. But storytelling can be done in different ways, even if it's something that you know the story of. Like, I know who Wolverine is.
Yes.
I've read a lot of Wolverine comics. He's been around for almost 40 years now. We kind of get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
But to introduce that storytelling where, Wolverine wasn't really the subject of it, which also helped out.
Yes.
It made him more of a mystery figure. But to put that kind of storytelling in a different context of the purely audio, with sound effects and all that, but where you're imagining what's happening in the form of a podcast, created this whole new, it just felt like a whole new thing. If I was reading that story in a comic, which it is now they made a comic version of it.
Oh.
If I was reading that comic, it'd be cool. It'd be a good story because, it was a story that I think with Wolverine, when it's not focused on him a lot, and he kind of is this side figure, that's happened in a lot of comics with him because people understand him a little bit. It would have been okay. But to have this cool format of audio storytelling, with voice acting and all that, just kind of gave it a whole new context.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of doing that a little bit, even in the realm of games with League of Legends. They announced at, I think it was League of Legends, at the Game Awards, two single player story focused games based on League of Legends characters, which I think that's a cool way to go. Like,
Overwatch 2 is going to have a single player story mode.
there you go. Like, people love Overwatch because of its characters. Like, it's a well-created game too. It's a well-crafted
very
multiplayer
well-crafted,
deathmatch.
yes.
I'm not saying it's not, but it's like Apex. Apex took off, and people love the characters in it.
Mm-hmm.
And because when you can have that really well-crafted gameplay as well as like characters and personalities you enjoy, then you've got these both. So take advantage of both of those things. League of Legends is going to continue to be beloved, and but if you want to expand, even from a financial standpoint, if you want to use your IP more, then expand into different things. And we see this with Marvel. Like, they've had TV shows with Marvel, like on Netflix, that were semi-related to the universe. They referenced it, but weren't really in the actual story at all. Now they're saying, okay, we're going to expand this whole thing into the realm of TV. And I think it's going to be great because it allows them to tell different kinds of stories that need more time to breathe and can get into the depths of a character a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So I think, start to expand and see your DC did a lot of this with like books too, where they took beloved stories and turned into novelizations or even original stories.
Original novels.
Yeah. And so like
the Court of Owls sequel is fantastic.
Right. So if you want people, if you like yours, if you have good content and want to see it expand, like, then go into different places. People who don't like comic books but might like books and then read a book about Harley Quinn and like it, might then start reading comic books about your about Harley Quinn. And so I think from every standpoint, both a corporate and just a creative track, that it's a good idea to diversify.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, my last lesson of 2019, and one that I guess it's still kind of a debate, but I'm still going to say it's a lesson for 2019.
Hot take.
My hot take of 2019 is difficulty is not an accessibility issue.
I want to kill you right now because you're wrong. You're so wrong.
Difficulty is not an accessibility issue. And the reason I say this is a lesson we learned in 2019 is because if there was an inaccessible game, a game that was out and was known, man, it could be good, but that game's honestly just inaccessible. it would not even be nominated for Game of the Year, let alone won Game of the Year. Sekiro, a lot of people talked about as being inaccessible because of how difficult it was. It made it difficult to play, but it made it difficult to beat. You could play the game and you could still access its story. You could still access everything via YouTube and whatever else. This wasn't a broken game. This wasn't a game that was inaccessible in the way that we should be defining inaccessible, or inaccessible in a way that, okay, you need 3 hands to play this. You know, inaccessible in a way where we just can't do it. It was really, really hard. And that's okay. It's okay to be really, really hard. But you know what? The difficulty of Sekiro was also part of its art. That's what made it so beautiful. You felt like a samurai overcoming these obstacles. And so, as we look forward into 2020, when more games like this could come out, we have to remember that difficulty is not an accessibility issue. You can make your game hard if you want, but it has to be hard for a reason too. It can't just be hard. The difficulty of Sekiro, again, was part of its art. If your game's just hard, it doesn't become an accessibility, but if it's just hard, then it's not going to be fun. But I will say, don't be afraid to make a difficult game. If difficulty is going to be part of what makes your game unique and wonderful, it's not an accessibility issue. Don't sit there and say this game is bad because not everybody can play it. To me, that's like saying they should make sculpting easier for everybody, and that way everybody can sculpt evenly. No, the fact that it's a difficult art is what makes some of the most beautiful sculptures so beautiful. The fact that you can look at that and say that person looked at a block of marble and created that out of it. Holy crap. In the same way, the way that I look at Sekiro and see the way that people play that game and how good it is part of the beautiful art that it is. And I think that that's an important lesson to learn as we go into 2020, is that you can make a difficult game if it helps emphasize what your game is.
I'd agree with you on we're not here to debate this, but
Right.
I agree with you on a certain point. Difficulty can just be part of it. Accessibility is far more than just a difficulty, for sure.
Yes.
I would say that's part of it, because by definition, if something is difficult to play, then somebody who is, even without a disability,
Right.
somebody who's younger is just not going to be able to do it. Things like that. That's not. Yeah, I agree with you. It's not It's not solely a accessibility issue. I think there are a lot more things like audio cues and color on, like the color of your text or your subtitles, or all that things that can go a long way for people with disabilities to help out.
Right.
I do think that if you are intentionally making your game difficult, then having difficulty sliders is a good thing to do, and just let people know, hey, here's what we created for people. Here's what we wanted you to enjoy. But we also want you to enjoy our game, even if you can't. So
Sekiro has a difficulty slider. You can make it harder
You can make
if you
it
want.
harder with an item in the game. That's different than, like, there are lots of games coming out now where in their difficulty choice at the beginning will say, this is the game we intended for people to play.
Mm-hmm.
But they also will say, this is just going to be narrative focused, like you're not going to die, like
Celeste.
in some other, or having very specific, like, things that you can up the difficulty to a very, very minute degree with Celeste and all their different options.
And see, this is kind of my point, and let's not get too far into this debate, but this is exactly my point, is that helped Celeste's story, because Celeste's narrative was, you can do this.
Sure.
You can do this. And so Celeste didn't want there to be a point when it was like, oh, actually you can't. Turn it off now. You know, they wanted it to be, look, the point of this game is a story of you can do this. So we're going to make this game
accessible
so you
to
can
everybody,
do this.
as much people as you can. Yeah.
Sekiro's story is, the world is against you. The world, several worlds, spiritual world, physical world, several worlds are against you. And it feels that way.
Yeah,
so,
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you want people to play your game, then you should try to make it your best to allow everybody to play your game.
That I would agree with that.
Yeah.
If you want everybody to play your game, make it a game that everybody can play.
Sure.
Okay. So those are all my 4 lessons of 2019.
Those are our lessons for the year.
Okay. So predictions for 2020.
Yeah.
And then we're going to call it, what do you got? Predictions for 2020.
My big one is, this will be the last Xbox. The Xbox Series X will be the last Xbox.
That was my big prediction.
In your face. I already predicted it a couple weeks ago.
Dang it, you jerk.
I already predicted it a couple weeks ago on our channel on a little description that I put on a thing. But this is going to be the last one. For a couple reasons to me. A, they've not done well.
Right.
Like, they might make money, but they've not held, like, Sony has dominated.
Yes.
That like we always talk about how it's Microsoft and Sony against each other and then Nintendo off on their own thing.
When I saw the stats for the top 5 best-selling systems and that 4 of them are
it's all 4
PlayStation
PlayStation
1, 2, 3,
systems
4.
and the Wii.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
And then I think like and this was console sales. I think the Xbox 360 was 10th, and that was the first Microsoft
it was
console.
pretty far down there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this will be the last Xbox. It's the Series X. They will... I think they are, kind of bowing out a little bit because Sony's, like, with their game lineup and everything, they would have to do so much.
Yep.
But also, I think that they are going to move into a streaming place.
Come
taking every...
Fox. Come on!
These are all of my predictions.
You
have to make up
monster.
something. They're moving into a place where it's more about
The Xbox Game Pass is the beginning of this.
accessible
Yes.
gaming PCs for everybody.
And that's Series X.
Come up with something new, man.
Series X is going to be, because it's supposed to be, Series X is supposed to be literally one in a series. So the
Right.
Xbox has announced that it's just called the Xbox. The new system is just called the Xbox. They showed the Series
we already
X.
had that 15
and there's going to
years
be
ago.
different series of Xboxes. And I think it's going to be, they are eventually going to be different styles of PC.
Yeah.
Gaming specific PCs.
Yeah.
So...
So take that, your prediction.
Yeah. Well, I got no, just kidding. I'm done with them. No, my prediction, we're going to see an Uncharted announcement in 2020.
Oh, yeah?
With the Uncharted movie coming out, Naughty Dog hasn't been saying much for a while. So
That's going to be a launch for the PS5, a launch title.
I predict an Uncharted announcement in 2020 to go along with
within the first 3 months.
To go along with the announcements of
Is going to be about his
of
daughter.
the movie. So I would say that
it should
it's
be.
a kidnapped teenage daughter, and you begin as Nathan Drake getting through, but then partway through the game you transition to her making her way out of it, saying, "You know what, Dad? I don't need you. I can fight my way out of this."
To me, the kidnapped teenage daughter is so yesteryear.
But that's
so
where it transitions.
yesteryear.
That's where it transitions the trope to it. It's not him saving her. They're going to meet in the middle. She is going to break her
No,
own
I want
way out.
kidnap Nathan Drake.
And she goes to
The
go
guy
get
who
him.
spent his years stealing and robbing from things, or he has something people,
The problem with that is they have shown many, many, many times that kidnapped Nathan Drake just breaks out and gets out.
Okay.
Why would this be the one time that he doesn't do that?
They kidnap him and break his legs.
Why didn't anybody from the last 17 games do that?
It's the PS5. It's a new real era. They're doing it.
So no, I want this 17-year-old girl, this
Yeah.
18-year-old girl to be kidnapped, and then and act 1 of the game is Nathan Drake and Ellie is
his wife.
his wife, and her going after her, and then act 2 being you were playing.
What is her name?
You playing as the girl, breaking out. And Elena, yes. You playing as the girl, breaking out, and being successful all by yourself. That's what I want it to be.
Sure.
Anyway,
I have a dream of it being his daughter in grad school for archaeology, going on a trip with older
Professor Henry Jones.
No, Professor Lara Croft.
Oh,
I want a
would be
crossover.
awesome.
I want a sweet crossover, but that won't happen. So
okay,
that was my big prediction. That's the only one I got.
Oh,
I'm sure I could come up with more, but
yeah. Okay, well that's what we got then.
Yep.
Hey guys, we want to thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We want to say a big thank you to Granger for letting us use their song All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and some of my neighbors do too.
Yep.
It's a sweet track, and it's off their album Dear Sam.
Yeah.
Go check that out right now.
This was our 104th episode, meaning it's been 2 years since we started.
More than 2 years.
2 years. 2 years of episodes that we started, and it's been
there.
interesting.
Yeah.
So we're looking in the future to continue having great conversations, to have more people on our show. And so if you're out there, if you're in the industry in some way, we'd love to talk to you about what you do.
We really would love to talk to you.
Yeah, if you have suggestions of people to talk to, we'd love to hear from you.
Yep.
And tell us about your gaming lessons that you learned, your lessons that you learned, and your predictions for next year.
Thank you very much, guys, and always remember that save games, save lives.
My voice sings louder.